Oh, headphones might be important. Yeah, it might be important.
Ooh, fun. Twitter's going to reset the POTUS account to 0 followers after the Biden transition. You probably didn't hear me say that.
I heard you, dear. I heard you.
Okay.
You said the Twitter account of the POTUS. Of the POTUS.
The POTUS Twitter account.
Will reset to 0. That's probably for the best. For being completely
honest. Yes, Pastor.
Yes, now, thank you everyone for joining us for this most wonderful occasion. I don't know why that started that way.
Yes, because like you switched into like Dave Chappelle doing, I think, Rick James.
Oh yeah, that is kind of where it went. That's kind of where it went.
It's the most wondrous occasion, Charlie. Darkness.
Oh man. Well, folks, it's almost the end of the year.
Yep.
And we've had such a blast here talking about the movies.
Yep. It's going to be exciting because on January 1st, hindsight will be 2020, and
God.
the century will be old enough to drink.
The century?
So maybe the century will be old enough to drink.
Oh, okay. I was like, it hasn't been 100 years. Oh, that's not what you meant.
And
you had proper
so,
math.
And now we'll be entering the Roaring 20s again, hopefully. Everybody's going to get vaccinated, and then we're going to party like Boardwalk Empire.
Some people are going to get vaccinated.
True. I think we'll hit 60 to 70% by the end of 2021. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a good thing.
Oh, but yeah, by 2022, it's all going to be Boardwalk Empire.
Where's my cyberpunk future though? That's what I want. For being like, well, apparently it comes with glitches. So if we do get it,
yes, you'll get it, but then you'll have to wait for a patch.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So we're not doing our end of year lists. One, I hadn't had a chance to talk to Tom about that yet, but we'll probably do that next week and just talk about the things we've seen.
Screw it.
No, I'm not ready.
Let's do it live.
I'm not ready to do it. I'm ready to do it because I'm going to forget movies.
You know,
Plus, you and me got stuff to talk about today, Tom. Oh, Thomas. Yeah. You know, there's things that happened last week. Big things
that happened?
Like Mandalorian big things. I forgot to put in the description for the show. I apologize.
Oh, we're talking about that? You're gonna out me as the unsatisfied
you
friend?
Watched it yet, have you? Oh, you did watch it.
No, I have.
Okay,
I did. Right. Remember, you were mad at me in my response.
Because it wasn't Ezra. Sorry. Sorry, I just had to get that out because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I didn't care about. I'm not even trying to rag on you either. I was just like, Tom, I don't care if it's Ezra. Oh my gosh. Like, I would have been okay if it was. But I was just like, ah!
So we're getting into it. So,
all right. So let's spoiler note, we're going to go ahead and get Mandalorian out of the way. That way, if you need to tune out for a bit, you could
go get yourself a drink.
Get yourself a drink, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll be probably in like 15-ish minutes, jump back in, and then we'll move forward onto the other stuff to talk about. So we got Shazam. We got our Shazam review. We're going to talk some more Wonder Woman 1984 and the lead up to that releasing late Thursday night and on Christmas Day. So super excited for that. We'll talk about the Tom Cruise rant, whether it was justified or not. I leaned. Well, we probably could guess where we lean. So, and then some other news trinkets and stuff that dropped in. But yeah, Tom's right. Jump right into Mando.
Okay, so mostly well done. I think it was. I really wish they would have started season 3 with the rescue. But led the finale to just before the rescue. 1, just to piss us all off. 2, because I think that there should have been more involved in getting the rescue set up. I know that the Mandalorian is, that he is an exceptional person and bounty hunter, and so is Bo-Katan, and so is, Boba Fett and everybody that's involved in that. But that was too easy, honestly.
Too easy.
Too easy.
Yeah, green lightsaber Deus Ex Machina come up in there, but it was too easy.
Yes, and that was part of it. That was too easy. Was, they're screwed. Oh, look, in the past shows up in an X-wing. Who could it be?
Look, the show has been doing this since the beginning. This is not, and this, this might be the most egregious example, but people are getting upset, regardless of who comes in to save them. Like, this model has been there from the beginning, and particularly to the last year's season finale. I really had that same kind of oh my gosh, I can't believe what we're watching. They're conveniently a tunnel out of the. The robot's gonna sacrifice himself at the last minute. He's got a jetpack ready and got it from the covert. And I wouldn't. I'll take it back on the jetpack, because at least it's it was a component we've been waiting for him to get. So naturally, once he got it, he was a badass with it. So that one's not so much a Deus Ex, but it is quit writing your. And to be clear, writing your characters into a corner doesn't always mean that the solution is a Deus Ex Machina. But to be fair to the episode, they did establish that someone possibly could be looking for Grogu, based on what he did at the stone or the Seer Stone and stuff like that. So the possibility was out there. The chances of them coming to that exact spot at that exact moment, that might be where we're kind of but it was established. Now you take away the tragedy episode, then it's complete out their ass.
I mean, it's not the worst, but there were a couple things that I had going on in my head. Was okay, so Luke must have been pretty confident of the exact size of this foundling that he's going to rescue, because he didn't show up with a trainer with an extra seat or anything like that. He just shows up in his rinky-dinky one-person X-Wing.
Last time I checked, there ain't a lot of room in that cockpit.
Exactly.
You're right.
And here's my biggest gripe: is I really wanted Mandalorian to be Skywalker free. And tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that this could have been perfectly fine without the Skywalkers.
I mean, it could have been, but who's going to be the Jedi that comes in for the fan base that people are that they would trust he's going to let Grogu go to? That's where it is. Is that's easy writing to say, oh, let's just bring in Luke. Everybody knows him. But that's what it boils down to. Easy writing, and I was a little bit disappointed about that. And you're right, that is the easiest way to button up the Grogu storyline. And to be fair,
for now,
had they not written it to that point, and this goes to your idea about the season being a little bit longer, or maybe having just going into the next season, is that if Ezra, if you're going to use that as an example, one way I've been thinking about since you brought it up, one way to bring him in that would make sense. I still feel like letting Ahsoka track him down and have that inevitable Thrawn and confrontation is more what I'm like. That's more what I want to see happen in her show. But if he was going to show up, he could show up to Mando first, and they together go to the ship, because then you at least have opportunity for them to build trust. Of, hey, you're gonna take my adopted son.
Well, and that's actually one of the things. It's like Mando didn't know Jedis existed before, like, the 3 episodes into season 1 for the most part.
He at least
heard,
okay, I guess it depends on what you mean. Like, yeah, he'd heard of them, but as far as like, oh, they're still around. Yes, you're right. He's like,
yeah. And this particular one, Luke Skywalker, who's, the emo Jedi at this point. He's yeah, my robe, no one can see my face, so I can save money on CGI work.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that in a second. Oof.
Like he didn't know who the hell that guy was, and I think in the end it was Mando who was going to trust Grogu to, like, look at the dude and is he okay? Do you want to go with him? It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really.
That's a good point too. Like, he was able to talk to him there in that moment. Like,
yeah.
Because if Grogu hadn't been able to communicate with him, like, stuff was up, so they'd established that with Ahsoka. So him being at Stone, now being there, like, clear they'd been able to. Or when Luke said, what does he say? He's waiting on your permission. I don't think it's just verbal body language. I think it may be some, like, him communicating his hesitancy.
Yeah, and actually, and that, by the way, that scene that they did with them parting was lovely. And it also was important too, because he flat out, like, there's the one person that he's given up his creed for.
Walking out the door.
Yep.
Leaving on the next wing.
Now I'm Grogu has to get out of the camp, the Jedi camp, flat out by the next season.
So, actually, before we go into that, because
you in danger, Grogu.
Before we get to that, because that was my immediate thought after my excitement of Luke being on screen. Because I do need to admit, my little kid came out, and this doesn't happen very often, just because of how I feel about Star Wars, and it's just beating me down. But I have to admit, I guess I was in the right mood to receive this episode, because when he showed up in X-Wing and see the saber, like, even before we see the saber, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, they're not doing that, no. So I was at least a little excited to have that. Like, I'll cherish that for making me feel that again. Thank you, Mandalorian.
Yes, and you know what? And also, thank you for them. Making Luke a badass for all of 3 minutes, because
it's our
Luke,
Vader Rogue One's moment.
Yes, yeah, it was exactly like that scene.
Jedi or some of our OG characters have a moment to, like, we get the restrictions that there were back in the day. But now you got this opportunity. It's like, go, yeah, thank you, yes. Yep.
Because like Luke was a bit of a badass in Empire, even though he got his ass kicked. But he was a badass because he went up against somebody he knew he couldn't beat necessarily, to draw aggro so his friends could escape, and then noped out by practically committing suicide. And
it's like, you're not my dad.
That is the most badass Luke Skywalker ever was until that moment. In that tiny Death Star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It
was good.
It
was good.
But so at not one moment did you hear a member berry?
Oh, it's definitely good.
Okay.
Oh, let's be clear. Kyle Nelson, our CEO, hates this because of what it's doing, and I realize it. I mean, even when had a moment to settle down, and I was like, damn it.
Remember Luke? Remember the Force?
Remember the Force? Remember green lightsaber? Remember his android hand?
Remember R2?
Oh God.
Oh, the R2 thing was a little heavy-handed.
That you know what? To Kyle's point, if I could live with Luke, because I think it makes the most sense for a setting of a Jedi. What was R2 doing? Just hanging out? It's like, oh, I guess he's like killing all these droids, but I'm just gonna. Like, where are you going? You might need to keep the ship hot in case they like bolt it, in case the mission fails. What are you doing?
That, or like, what if you run into one that's like cut in half but still working? Is R2 going to take on a dark trooper?
I don't know. It took on the super battle droids, so.
That's true.
R2 has shown themselves to be quite capable in situations where it doesn't make sense. But we're not going to talk about that.
But yeah, and also R2 legitimized Luke in some ways, because like, you know, Grogu was still hesitating leaving, and then R2 shows up and squeals at him, and then they're like, oh, we're buddies now.
I mean, there's also the possibility that Grogu... Oh! I guess you hadn't thought about that. Grogu could definitely know who R2 is.
Yes, Grogu could.
Because he's from that time period.
Oh! Can you imagine Grogu's like, wait, were you the robot of the guy that slaughtered all my friends 20 years ago?
Ooh.
That, and then robot, and you know, R2's just like, you know, if there were subtitles, it would have been like, holy crap, this guy looks like a tiny Yoda. What's going on here?
Okay, Robot Chicken, I need this scene.
Yeah.
We just gave you the template, so run with it. So before we get to the what we've projected for the future issues that are going to come up, some other things that happened in the episode. I didn't remember Mandalorian. I didn't remember Darksaber lore. But even without that, when Bo-Katan confirmed, like, no, I needed to beat him so I could claim the saber. I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
that's an interesting wrinkle. So like, I thought, oh yeah, next season the retaking of Mandalore, like this is gonna be a crux of it between these two. I didn't know it was gonna be like that though. I didn't know that dynamic with the saber existed. So, oof, and they just leave him there.
Yep.
That's gonna be an awkward ride home.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting because like, also I love the reversal because, you know, 4 episodes before they were all rolling their eyes at him for being like this strict religious nut job about his helmet.
But now they're effectively doing the same.
Here, take this saber, and they're like, no, we got to do this right. I have to kill you now.
It's like, which is also funny. You think about earlier, even like to what you just said, but even early in the episode, what does she say between Boba and her left hand, like right hand woman? Is that like we've definitely been away for too long that we're like getting into these like petty bickering, these petty squabbles, and I'm like.
Yeah. Well, how about some foreshadowing?
I can see a few things happening. Part of me feels like Mando's not going to take it. Like from leaving that room and stuff, I just feel like he's gonna be like, I do not care. I do not care. Take it. I am not going to pick it up. Take it. I'm not going. So, part of me can see that. Part of me could see Bo. Or maybe like a Dark Knight situation where it's like, how about you just say you got it from Gideon and I won't say shit. You can do...
Yeah, and then kill the right hand.
Well, I'm wondering if like Bo-Katan like can't handle it though. I wonder if she initially like goes along with it, but then it's like it's eating at her that she didn't do it the right way and just can't let it go. Or maybe some questions start to come up and it just starts eating at her in the next season, and then she wants to like before they go take Mandalore, she wants to clean it up or like clean house, like whatever, like because I don't really see her as a like vindictive. Trying to think some ways to describe it. She's gonna be as ruthless as she needs to be, but that's not really. It's not really what she wants to do. So I'm wondering if this is gonna force her hand. I mean, sorry, Alva is gonna force her hand, but to which way? I don't know.
There's one other option that I kind of want, because with Ahsoka being in real life, I kind of want every member of Rebels to just now become real life people. And what's her face? Sabine. I want Sabine to come in season 3.
So have you heard the rumor?
No.
That Imperial, or basically Moff Gideon's right-hand man, that kept showing up, kept getting speaking lines. Some people have been thinking, like, no one else has been getting speaking lines and stayed alive like that. And we also didn't see her die on the ship. So they think she may be undercover.
That might be Serpico Sabine.
Yeah, it might get a reveal next season. But I'm like, that was a very astute point. It was like, we did not see her die. We saw stormtroopers get killed. We saw a bunch of other officers in different episodes get killed. But she got an interesting amount of speaking time for someone that's like not quote unquote important. And then we don't see her at all in this episode. So it could be a mistake. It could just be a legit mistake. They didn't think to include her in this one. Or she got out of Dodge before.
But yeah, I think Sabine could make things interesting because she has legitimate claim to the throne. Because she's Mandalorian royalty. She has wielded the Darksaber successfully. And also she would be incredibly fun to have back into a storyline. And also she could be almost as much of a bonding agent to the retaking of Mandalore as Bo-Katan because she knows that she's in tight with the rebels, etc.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What if Mando keeps the saber, and then that's the dilemma. Who to give it to, or who possibly to I guess this would assume if this is going to be like the last season coming up. But if they do the Logan kind of thing I've wanted, maybe there is some like a kind of like a Jet Li's hero situation in this. Like where he decides to become the sacrificial lamb to propel one of them forward. Like, yeah. Okay.
Like I legit, part of me wants to see like they go their separate ways after they get the Star Destroyer, and you know Bo's pissed at Mando, and so he's just like screw it and leaves for a bit, and he's like I'll come back in a bit when everything's down, but everybody's after him for the Darksaber now instead of the kid. And he's just walking around with a Mandalorian target on his back.
No, that tracks. I like it. I think we got some good theories coming up here. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, they're gonna all be wrong, but
we were recalling Ahsoka for a long time, even though it never got officially confirmed. So, as far as an actual theory, we didn't have that quite. I'm just saying, but we didn't hold that. We didn't let go of our hope that Rosario Dawson was going to come in, do a good job. And I'm also glad I was wrong. I'm also glad I was wrong that it happened this season, because each episode kept coming out. I'm like, man, Tom, I don't know, man. I don't know. If she's gonna. Are we gonna see her at all? And yeah, I was glad to be wrong there. Some last little bits before we get to that. Before boating. Well, actually, I guess it's just one more. Is that if he stayed for the end credits, we're getting a Now I haven't heard it confirmed if this is an actual full on show, or if this is just like some additional chapters, because they said it's the book of Boba Fett. So we see him at the end of it, in the end credits, going into Jabba's old palace, getting rid of was it Bib Fortuna, and the actor who played him in this is not the original actor, but the actor that played him in the prequels came back to take on that role. So it's a nice little continuity there. Cool.
Yeah, because that dude would have been 80 if it was the original one.
It's like, damn, good on you if you can pull it off. But so yeah, Boba Fett has established himself as a new Hutt, or however that's not but new crime lord.
Oh man. So here, okay, I'm gonna go down a theory rabbit hole for a second. Strap in, stay with me. There's a high probability that we're going to get a Boba Fett versus Darth Maul battle in the book, because Darth Maul survives. Mm-hmm. He survives, I believe he survives the second trilogy as well, or he survived up to. I have to double check if he survived all the way through Rebels.
Yeah, he did.
But
because remember, there's the Obi-Wan fight, and it happens in Rebels.
Yeah. Yes, but I didn't know if he survived. But yes, yeah. If he survived, then yeah.
I think they implied that he died. Because Obi-Wan told him, but we can double check that. I'm pretty sure.
I will double check that right now. But yeah, I think that there is a.
Or someone in the family.
Yeah, but he was the head of the oh gosh, Star Wars fans are going to be hateful to me right now because I can't remember the name of the syndicate.
I can't say anything because I'm blanking on it too. I know what you mean.
So yeah, like Darth Maul's hard to kill.
Yeah. Something else that that's so again, I was saying, like, I don't know if it's gonna be a show or just some extra episodes. So if it's just gonna be like, hey, here's a little mini series of a couple episodes to show you what happened to Boba Fett in the past and what's gonna happen going forward, or if he's gonna continue to be showing up in Mandalorian in that capacity as Tatooine crime lord.
Yep.
But that was a nice little review. I'm not gonna lie. Someone it might have been on Twitter, but it might have been Kyle, was surprised given all the announcements that happened on not D23 Day, but on the Disney investor call when all that stuff dropped. It was like, I'm surprised that they were able to hold that one to the chest. It's like I'm shocked. So Disney showed some restraint. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, maybe they didn't want to that was kind of impressive. I think I think Book of Boba will be maybe a one season thing. I think that Book of Boba has also already been shot. No, it hasn't, because they said it was going to be December 2021. Yeah,
so December next year.
Crap.
So probably getting ready. Probably already in pre-production, very getting ready to go into production. But I guess it just depends on what the level of that is. So let's get to the. I guess there's one last thread. It's just Clara Dune. Like, God, I don't know what she's gonna do. Like, because she's they let the guy go at the end of the other episode, and you're just getting good with the New Republic. So I have to imagine she's not going to be in great standing to start next season, or might be in jail.
I think she might be in good standings because remember, the rebels are still not mired in bureaucracy, and so like her response could be like, one, oh yeah, he died, sorry, but with his death, the Mandalorians got themselves a Star Destroyer, and
okay, so there's some ways.
And I helped.
So maybe she sends some hot water to start it off, but nothing that's like it puts her in a complicated situation, but not a doomed situation. Like, oh darn you, oh man.
Yep. we're gonna take you to the Dagobah jail.
But why?
Well, because I'm going to go through a political rant. They pump everybody into the Dagobah jail, and then that helps their electoral college credits go up. And there are only a few people that can vote on Dagobah. You're welcome. Anyway.
Okay, I'm back. All right, good. I'm kidding. All right, the elephant in the room that we alluded to start off is that if you remember the plot to the sequel trilogy, Luke has a school of Jedi, and it's going, it's happening, and then
he tries to kill his students.
Specifically Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo at the time, and Ben naturally doesn't take it the best. Just like, WTF, dude. And proceeds to slaughter everyone. Proceeds to just kill it.
Well, at least burn down something. I don't remember how much slaughtering was done, but
so they'd never actually show. Yeah, they show the repeated like multiple takes of the same scene. But if you rewind back to Force Awakens, and then when they show the scene again in Last Jedi, there are multiple bodies on the ground that like you have to like if you're not paying attention, like they are there. It's like, so if you go look back at it, it's like there are different bodies on the ground. It's not like a mass of bodies, but there are different bodies on the ground. So it's kind of interesting. Like, it feels like I don't know if it was with the Knights of Ren, but if things like Kylo Ren definitely went on some kind of rampage after he started burning down the school.
Yes. Also, but let's also remember that he is a lesser version of his grandfather. So I'm wondering if he just wasn't as effective at killing everybody. So yes, Grogu might die in 20 years.
It is a possibility. But there's actually a couple outs. So the first out to me is what Ahsoka said. His bond to Din or bond to Mando is very strong. So it's entirely possible he gets to the school and Luke is like, I tried my best, but kid, your feelings are too strong. Like I can't do this. And maybe Grogu also understands that and then gives up going on the Jedi path. Maybe still is Force sensitive or Gray Jedi, some kind of combination like that. So that is entirely they've set that up, so it would not be that crazy. It also might be a reason for Mando to, like, as they're doing Mandalore, to be like, "No, y'all, I'm out. My kid's back. I'm out." And be like, "What do you mean? My kid's back. I'm out. This is what I really love and truly."
You know what? He helps take over Mandalore. He's wielding the Darksaber. They're in the throne room, and the kid shows up, and he's just like, "Okay, guys, just tosses the Darksaber on the floor. You guys fight it out," and walks out. But I'm keeping my staff.
Oh, naturally, it's the only thing that saved him from the troopers.
Yep.
And obviously, the one you just said about Kylo, he wasn't Kylo yet, so entirely possible Grogu just escapes the situation. Like, it's bad, but maybe there's other Jedi that escaped it. Now also be interesting for these upcoming shows. What else starts to pop up? We get some other Jedi to pop up. And there probably could be some other ways out that I don't. Maybe he gets captured too. That's another thing. That even in an escape, he gets captured. So like, while it sucks wherever he's at, but he's still alive and like available in the plot to some degree. I also start to wonder if we're going to get some kind of time skip in Mando as well. But that's what
I think so. I think at least we're going to have like a 1 year or 2 year flash forward at the beginning of season 3. Like let's not show all the prep that the Mandalorians are doing to get it, and they're at the edge of invading Mandalore in the beginning of season 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then again, I am apparently not Dave Filoni nor Jon Favreau. So
yeah. So I got a little bit of flack about this online because I've said multiple times that I don't want this thing to drag on forever. And I'm slowly but surely, I mean, especially after the Luke reveal, I'm not getting my Logan ending, so I'm just going to give that up. But someone was talking about 6 to 8 seasons, and I was like, of what? To do what? To talk about what else could the dynamic between him and the kid.
Yes, for 2 seasons out.
So do you really? You want 4 more seasons of that, or to their point about 8, like 6 more of that? Also, it's interesting because I've been watching it with my old roommate Sarah, and she's like, listen, I don't know if I care about Mandalorian now because the kid's gone. So season 3 is going to be a real rough season for them, especially if they don't have the kid. They're going to have to do some special magic to get the lay fans to watch it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I love that we love Star Wars TV, and we have more shows coming. So that's where I'm like,
yeah,
cool. We'll get to explore more properties. That's great, but I worry about them milking this out. And someone said, well, Dave and John, or particularly to Wild Turkey, one of our old writers, said, well, Dave and John got it. I was like, oh, they're winning me over as far as, they got that. I'm worried Disney's going to mandate, no, we need 4 more seasons out of this. And then that might be what makes John and Dave go, we really don't want to milk this more for we got some ideas on how to wrap this thing up. Let's go ahead and start going down that path.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. When I saw the announcement for all the shows that they were producing, I was ready to nope out at that exact moment. To be honest, because there's 8 shows that they're working on, 8 shows, and they're all going to be interconnected.
MCU.
Yeah,
this is just Star Wars. We haven't talked about MCU.
And that they're all going to be interconnected somehow, and they're all going to lead up to some feature-length film, or and so I just the enormity of it. It reminds me of the New 52, and also the Light Wars in DC, when it's just which is it was just overwhelming as a comic book reader. And actually that's the thing that broke me from comics was New 52, that oh crap, I've got to buy all these comics that are not even associated with what I like in order to propel a plot line and understand it.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up New 52 because the other comment on that thread I was on, they were like, yeah, it's gonna be it'll be like the Arrowverse. I'm like, Arrowverse isn't good. Stop that.
No.
What fucking planet are you living on? It's like, if you like it, that's fine, but don't tell me that nonsense is good. Okay, there are some good moments. There are some good seasons. I loved Arrow seasons 1 through 2 until I figured out I'm watching a soap opera with people that can shoot arrows really good. Okay, and now I noped out. When Flash, I got half season into it, and I'm like, nope, feels very familiar. I'm out. Nope. People said, you're gonna love Black Lightning. I'm like, great, 7th Heaven with a black dude with powers. I'm out. I'm out. To be fair, yes, is the dynamic a little bit different because he's got his family right there? Yes. But it still felt melodramatic like Arrow, and I'm like, I'm out. The only thing that brought me back in for a moment was the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I got into it for a little bit, and I'm like, all right, I got my Brandon Routh fix, and I'm out.
Yeah.
Got my Kevin Conroy in a mechanical suit, and I'm out.
I'm very much the same way. I lost interest halfway through season 2 of Flash because it's just like, oh, he solved most of the problems. Now he's causing all of his problems, and now he's fixing all those problems, and he's fixed them. Now he's caused them again. I'm done.
To be fair, that is the story of Flash.
I mean, yes, but like I was a bit frustrated because he spends more time fixing his. He's not Mr. Fantastic, where like he's not supposed to be fixing all the problems that he causes. He's supposed to occasionally fight villains, and where's his rogues gallery?
Pish posh. The other thing, gosh, I did not mean to start beating up on Arrowverse. Every show doesn't need an ensemble. Every show does not need an ensemble. Arrow got bad about that. Flash got really bad about that. I don't want to say Black Lightning got as bad about that. And Supergirl did a better job than the others, than having that problem. I will give Supergirl credit for that, because I never felt like, God, do I have to follow all these people's storylines inside this? Like, I don't care. I do not care. And when it happened in Arrow and Flash, I just I rolled a ton. So the other thing, like, as we get more and more shows and you get more interconnected and keep adding more and more characters to it, that's more things I have to follow, and that's an easy way for people to get tuned out or oversaturate this thing.
Yeah, and that's my fear. Like, I'm curious about Bad Batch, and because I'm 99% sure it's about a bunch of bad clones. If it's not animated, I think that's going to be a terrible choice. But there's just a whole lot. Like, okay, cool. Give me the Kenobi series. Give me the Ahsoka series, and keep running the Mandalorian. I don't know how many of the others that are in that list. I've got to go relook at the list, but I don't know if they're all going to really capture my attention as much. Like, I think there's a Rogue Squadron.
Well, that'll be a movie.
One. Okay.
And there's another thing that, like, you and me have talked a lot about Justice League, the TV show, and how you got your main ensemble. And the great thing about that TV show is that it would allow them to have some episodes where they went in on some different characters in the DC universe that we just never would, like, they don't need to have their own show, but just because that would be absurd. Like, you're just like, if someone kicked off a show of like Booster Gold, and Booster Gold actually is more interesting than people give him credit for, but a Booster Gold show, no.
Nope.
Just stop it. But the Booster Gold episode in Justice League, I think, is Unlimited. It might be the original Justice League, but I think it's Justice League Unlimited. That's a pretty good
it is Unlimited.
That's a pretty good episode. It's pretty awesome.
It is a great episode.
You learn his deal. You're like, oh, I misjudged you. Okay, now I get. I mean, well, you probably judged him a little right. But
I mean, there is good material out there. At least, like, I would forgive DC if they spun off a Booster Gold series, because, like, he in the New 52, I think it was, or just before the New 52, he had a whole new reboot, which made him super cool, and also was pretty, like, he was working with I forgot the guy's name. He was like, Mick Savage or something like that, some time traveler guy, and he was fixing all the problems within the timeline to make sure that the Light Wars turned out the way that they were supposed to, or something along those lines. And he's just, and the guy who's helping him do this, he's like, no one's going to know who you are or what you did. You aren't going to be able to, like, cash in on this. You got to do it because it's the right thing to do. And that's, like, there's a struggle for him during that entire time. And I think that could be compelling, but there's a ton of books out there on Star Wars, but they retconned all of them.
Yeah,
So what are they? Yes. They retconned all of it. And so, like, where are they going to get this material to develop a story out of all these extra things? So, like, yeah, there's Mandalorian season 3, Andor. Why the hell are we going to have a movie or a show about Ewoks? Ahsoka, cool. Rangers of the New Republic, The Acolyte, what's that going to be? Bad Batch, and Lando.
Which, did they even get Donald Glover to come back for it?
Yeah, like, it's just, I get it, but anyway.
So yeah, I want to be excited. I'm not trying to shit on it. I think Star Wars is in a much better, even though like I was arguing with Zach about it a little bit. I had still had to admit, like, aside from Rise of Skywalker, my Star Wars experience the last couple of years hasn't really been that bad. There might be things I'm upset and exhausted from talking with people that are like, I hate this entire, like, that may have been what has exhausted me. But as far as what's actually come out, I've liked a lot of it, again, with the exception of one movie. So I'm like, okay, I really don't have anything to complain about. But you also have this track record that makes me a little nervous with everything that's come out. It's like, I don't think that's unfair to be like it remains to be seen, and be putting it like it's not an unfair stone to throw out and be like, hey, let's reserve a little bit of our energy, reserve a little bit of our excitement, just a bit.
Yeah, I will feel much more comfortable about all these shows if they're like, hey, Dave and John are in charge of all this, and instead of Kathleen Kennedy being like, nope, it should be JJ, nope, it should be Ryan, nope, it should be JJ again. And
she just lets them run with it. Let Patty Jenkins run with her movie. Just let them run with it. I think it'll be all right.
Yep.
Which we were talking about that a while back. It's like, I don't know what happened. Because Kathleen Kennedy's name's been attached to as many nerddom successes as you can think of. And it's just like, really, it's just the setup for this sequel trilogy. You just botched it. It's like, but, I mean, again, some cool stuff still came out of it, but it's like, but you kind of botched the setup for it. It's like, but I feel like people forget, like, what she's accomplished and what she's done. So I always want to put that out as a caveat of, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I don't want to crap on Kathleen Kennedy, but I feel like she did that trilogy wrong, and everybody was just so afraid and so on edge from the fans, and rightfully so, because we practically just killed Lucas, the creator, for the prequel trilogies, and. So, and Lucas did Clone Wars as kind of an apology for that, I think.
Which even that movie was still, but it gave Filoni the jumping off point.
Yep. So if they put these shows in the hands of a universe creator, and that universe creator is Dave Filoni and John, because both of them have, I mean, Dave didn't necessarily create a universe, but he did 7 seasons of an amazing show. And
so that brings up we're going to transition and take a small break before we continue and knock out our last little bit. Let me get your thoughts on this before we break. So I was talking to a friend after the whole Luke reveal and things like that. Gosh, we didn't get to talk CGI about that either. We can do that when we get back.
Oh yeah.
But there's a thought I'd had, but it hadn't encapsulated yet, and I had been thinking about it since Dave Filoni had that conversation about Anakin and Obi-Wan that's been on the internet, and gives like why he understands the prequels so much, or at least what they were trying to do. And a thought had popped in my head now, and I was like, okay, now I can articulate what I was feeling. Is that, do I have this desire to really go back and rewatch the prequels right now? No, I just don't. I don't. As movies, I don't think they're that good. But what Dave has done has effectively saved that as a universe or as an era of time that we want to can play in or have some fun with everything they did with the Clone Wars. So much so that now that you look at the plots of those movies, yeah, there's some errors, there's some things you would fix, but you're like, okay, I can respect the core of that much more now than I did when it first came out, because these ancillary or these auxiliary pieces have come in and helped boost it, comfort, not necessarily put a shield around it, but just been like, hey,
fill in the blanks.
Yeah, it fills in the blanks and fleshed it out. So now you look back on it, you're like, okay. And I think that may be where we had that little bit of an uptick in people that are like, no, the prequels are great. The prequels are awesome. It's like, is it the prequels that you like, or have you consumed the rest of the media and it's helped make this better?
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, we can quickly talk about the CGI.
Well, but that was going to lead to one last. So my worry about the sequel trilogy is that because that could. Oh, actually, I'll get on that when you get back.
Okay.
Last thing on the CGI though. Yeah, to your point. Just cast somebody. Go ahead and bite the bullet. Cast somebody. Sebastian Stan's right there. If you've not seen the comparison photo between Mark Hamill and Sebastian Stan, like when he's got like the peppered blonde hair as Luke, and now someone's got like the Robert Downey Jr. taking off the glasses gif. It's like, huh? What? It's like he's right there. He's in house. You got him on contract for something probably. Just bring him over. Put him in the suit.
There is that, but I do appreciate the fact that I like Mark Hamill getting work, and that was actually my final sentiment of when I was just like, Luke, come on, Luke, really? And then I was just like, okay, Luke's being kind of a badass, cool member of the Green Saber, and then I was just like, at least he got work. And his Twitter response that day was spectacular.
It's very true.
So, anything that we can do to help keep Mark Hamill paid and protected, I'm down for.
He's still doing voiceover work. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, folks.
Right.
I'll still be here for a second. Tom's gonna take a pop off for just a couple seconds, and just a couple seconds. Well, if you're out there tonight and you got questions for us, you can always drop it onto the Twitch or the Facebook feed. Always love to hear from you all. And sorry about technical difficulties that we had earlier this week on State of New Union. I didn't do it, but it's still technically my fault because I'm still the producer for that show, and I was not able to get back in town before the show started. I ended up coming in like an hour after due to some issues on the road. And you think you got everything set up correctly for someone to take over when you're not there, and then the system just doesn't do what you programmed it to do. So Jerry did really well in the absence, but we apologize for that video also being muted. We will go on there and get an updated, eventually get an updated video on there for you all. So yeah, again, apologies for that, but just that's what happens, and hopefully get, I'm probably the one that's got the most troubleshooting experience with our broadcasting application. So there's some things that are like intuitive, and there's some other things that are not necessarily like you wouldn't think that's the spot to go fix an audio issue. So again, we don't ever want to have a muted video, but hopefully we live and learn, and hopefully everything will be better going forward. So thank you for everyone that had patience with us on Monday night. But
and we're back.
And we're back. Okay, so before we get to the last bit of news topics and talk Shazam, the thing that I thought about with the prequels, and the thing I worry about with the sequel trilogy is the prequels, however bad they are, like we're used to that. we get it. The acting's stilted. There's a couple of plot points that make you scratch your head. It's like, but okay. But like the overall arching story of it, like you can follow it pretty well. It's like, okay, that's not crazy. There's just maybe one or two things you might have wanted to adjust. But when you think about the content of the movie, it's like the content of the movie is not necessarily bad. It's more of an execution issue. So okay, cool. So in your brain, like when we talked about previous like shows, we would fix things that had a good premise, but just weren't. It falls right into that. It may be funny because it's Star Wars, and people are like, oh, well, I was like, no, it legit would fall in that category of good premise, just needs to be executed a little bit better. Hence the Filoni being able to come in, flesh that out, and makes the whole thing better. When we get to the sequel trilogy, though, because they're both directors, Abrams, and I guess we need to really quickly just say, Abrams had an opportunity to direct all three. Whether they were going to actually offer all three at that time, we don't know. But he purposely chose to like decline coming for Last Jedi, so that was his choice. And again, it's just something I feel like needs to be noted for this next piece that comes out. And I'm not saying that put Kathleen Kennedy in a bind of like, gosh, who am I going to pick next to do? But I feel like one person would have helped it stay pretty homogenous, right? And you can say like, well, the original trilogy had 3 different directors. I'm like, yeah, but even then you still had Lucas there guiding hand, good or bad, and obviously he had other help for but still, his vision was getting executed there the entire time. So if you have Kathleen Kennedy producing but not necessarily executing vision, and you get to let each director come in and do their own thing, that creates some inconsistencies, which we get into Rian Johnson, where he's basically saying, I see your mystery box thing you're doing, Abrams, but I don't really like. Can we move the franchise on from the Skywalkers? Can we set something else up? Can we? And I honestly feel like he's pulling some threads from Clone Wars, where, because we just had hundreds of Jedi on screen. So why does it always need to be Skywalkers? To your point about what happened with Mando, and something like I feel like that's what Last Jedi was preaching. And then we need to remember, before Abrams came in to do Rise of Skywalker, is that Colin Trevorrow, the guy who made Jurassic World, that was the next director. Title of the movie was going to be Duel of the Fates, and some of the things that we think would have been really cool threads to continue off of from Last Jedi were in that script. When you read the treatment, you see some of the concept art. You see them trying to like have a final battle. I think Exegol was still going to be the final battle, if I remember correctly, but Finn's role of like recruiting the stormtroopers is in there. It's not just some kind of throwaway thing that, as it is in Rise of Skywalker. He legit goes and is like, we need people. Like, we got to actually in Rise of Skywalker, they're just back. The Resistance is just back to full strength. They have ships and everything again. And it's like, are you going to do anything? Okay, whatever. Duel of the Fates at least is like, that's his role in this movie. This is what we're going to set him up for. So I guess my thing is like, I don't know how you have a Filoni come in and flesh that out, because I wonder if even Jon Favreau and Dave are also going to be like, we kind of like, depending on wherever they fall in the camp, but are going to look at that and be like, these things don't talk together well, and I don't know how to come in and flesh out a 3-movie story that just doesn't really talk to each other. You can, like, Force Awakens and Last Jedi sort of do. Like, there's some problems, but it's nothing as but between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, those movies do not talk to each other.
Nope.
You might enjoy it and get it, but it does not. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
It's almost like those two. I felt that not only did they not talk to each other, Rise of Skywalker talked shit about Last Jedi. Like, hey, remember that last guy? Yeah, he's an idiot. Don't even pay attention. We're doing something completely different.
We're gonna give you the finale you wanted. It's like, is this?
Yeah. Ugh.
So yeah, So like the Ahsoka show, the other ones like was it Rangers of the New Republic, and different things like that. I feel like it could have that impact. But I guess part of me is going to be like, I was promised things in Last Jedi. I was promised some cool shit in Last Jedi, and it didn't happen. So you can't just then make that happen there, or you're going to have to continue to ignore that movie. And I hate to put in two binary options, because maybe there's a way that I have not thought of, but if so, listeners, viewers, help me out. Please, if you're like, here's some ways they can fix this and make this work together, please let me know. Because so far I've been racking my brain and I don't see it.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. I don't know about you, but I'm Star Wars'd out right now.
That's perfect, because we're ready to move on. Some quick news hits before we get into Shazam. Without going into a tirade, it's a travesty that Patty Jenkins is still getting paid less than her male directors. And if you know how green around the ears some of these directors have been that have gotten Marvel projects and the amount they've been paid compared to Patty, who already had, I know Charlize Theron got Oscar for Monster. I don't remember if Patty Jenkins got Best Director, but hey, you still directed a fantastic production and got someone a Best Actress Actress win. Hey, that's important. And then obviously you knocked Wonder Woman out of the park. But even her bump from 1984 still didn't match like some freshman directors that came in to do Marvel movies. Now you could argue like, okay, maybe it's just DC doesn't have that money. I'm like, bullshit. Bullshit. It'd be different if DC was owned by some indie company that didn't have that money. That might be understandable. That might be understandable. But no. Like, again, they ain't got Disney money, but you don't have to have Disney money to pay your directors MCU first time director money. Like, that's ridiculous. And Patty's right to call it out. So
and also I appreciate Gal Gadot basically saying, nope, I'll come back, but I need Patty. I'm not going to work for another director. At least that's the gist I get from her, is showing some solidarity, and I give her credit for that.
Not to cast anything on Gal Gadot. We talked about Cleopatra a while back.
Yep.
But she's finally come out with a very succinct statement about it, and it's weak. It's weak. Gal Gadot, you could have done a little better there, because she's just saying she wants to play the role, and kind of like doubles down in Macedonian roots of the role. What she is right is that to a point of that, like, Cleopatra was not a dark skinned member of a tribe in the African continent. Like, you are right, but I still think she would have been darker than you. And saying that you couldn't find anyone else, and she alludes to a search that happened. I don't know if I believe that. I think this is a project y'all wanted to do, and you brought it forward, which again, admirable for you wanting to bring this project forward, and the empowerment and stuff that can happen in it. But this is not a good look. I don't know. This has come out during the Wonder Woman 1984 press junket the past week. And it's kind of like, you really had an opportunity to either step away from the project or maybe apologize, explain yourself better. But this was not a great response in my mind.
No, it's better than Scarlett Johansson. But
oh well, it's easy.
Which, by the way, did you see SNL this weekend?
No, I did not.
Oh, so live weekend update. It's now a Christmas tradition that Michael Che and the white dude they swap jokes, and that they read live on TV, and they actually got Colin Jost to make fun of his brand new wife, Scarlett Johansson. And I forget which role that they were, but basically they were talking about a new movie coming out, and that Scarlett Johansson would play like, I don't know, I forgot what it was, but It's a Beautiful Burn. I highly recommend going and see it. It's out on YouTube.
All right, I'll give it a look. All right. So, our disdain for Tom Cruise on this show. Oh, I mean, I don't like Tom Cruise, but Tom hates Tom even more. But we're in a little bit of a pickle. We're in a little bit of a dilemma here. Because on the one hand, there are some infamous set tirades. I mean, there are some that would blow your mind with some of your favorite actresses. So shit can get wild on some toxic sets, you know. So this is to be clear. This is not to defend that. But I guess where I'm conflicted on this Tom Cruise rant. And to be clear, there were people that were not following the protocols that had been set forth on the set. So this wasn't just Tom pulling it out of his ass, and this wasn't him just saying like going on a tirade to go on a tirade. There were people actively not following the COVID protocols they'd set up on their production set. And I don't know if you noticed, folks, but it's already been quite the ordeal for this movie trying to get shot and keep their international shot schedule that they've already had. Or sorry, their rescheduled international shot schedule. And the teeth pulling that had to happen with the British government in different spots in Paris and Spain. Like, so I can understand on his side of like how much work he's done to like make sure this still happens, and to have some breakdowns in the COVID protocol would drive like anyone nuts. It doesn't have to be Tom; it could be the director and so on. Like just like to have done that much work. I mean, if you look at what happened to the Jurassic World set and how many COVID tests they went through, we talked about that a while back, but it was almost 50,000 tests just from that whole production crew over the time that they've been producing that movie until they wrapped. So, like this is serious, folks, because that could easily shut down a production and they missed their window, whenever. So, on that hand, I really don't have a problem with him doing this call out. I mean, now maybe we could have the argument of like what was said was maybe too much, or like people just didn't like the tone, or like how long it went on, like or like getting chastised like that. Like, sure, we can have that chat. I don't know. I've rambled enough, Tom. Just let me know what you.
You what?
I think I've rambled enough. Let me know what you.
Yeah. So a broken clock can be right twice a day, right? And it's my issue with Tom Cruise has many facets to it. You know, from his religious affiliations to, and I should say religious, to the fact that he's now dating Haley Atwell, just drives me crazy. And so, but he's not wrong about this. And best way to put it is Tom Cruise at his best is still an entrepreneur. And that's what he's doing, is protecting his money, protecting his investment, because he's usually the producer on these things anyway. So, you know, it's not completely selfless as to why he's making this rant. Sure. But I'm still glad he's made it, and I hope maybe there's some MAGA hat wearing people that are really still in love with Tom Cruise and might go, oh, he's the one that's going to convince me to do this.
I don't know about all that now.
It's a long stretch, but there we are.
I guess the thing is, like, if it hadn't been Tom Cruise, would we be saying anything? Like it would probably still be newsworthy. I guess maybe let me be clear. It's like it'd still be newsworthy, but what would it be like? Would we be applauding them because it's like, yes, take it. Like if you're gonna shoot a movie during quarantine, like yes, you need to hold your people accountable. But are we saying it's shit because Tom Cruise's name is attached to it and it's being perfectionist?
And I don't necessarily. I'm not saying it's shit necessarily. I just think it's like he's one of those people. He's not quite. Crap, names are escaping me right now. Christian Bale.
And your camera got a little fuzzy there. Kind of get some. Bring you around 10.
There we go.
There you go. It happens.
Mid January, getting a new camera. So yeah, I think that if it was Christian Bale, we'd be like, ugh, Christian's at it again. Or if it was whoever the gladiator was that no one cares about anymore. Yes, Russell Crowe. Another one who's famous for that, more so than Cruise and other people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, it's... I don't know. I think he's not wrong. He's fine with this one.
I guess
people...
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I would push back against is the idea that like yelling is automatically toxic. It's like I feel like your behavior and the things that go alongside of it can make that like, and that's the only tool in your toolbox. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem very quickly. But I'm like, sometimes people need to have their ass chewed out. Like you need to know that you like. I'll use a military example. There are things on the flight line that are there to keep you safe, and I don't have I don't have time to call to you for doing a dumb mistake when it's your life on the line for you doing that dumb mistake. And I need you to I need you to hear me at this moment. I don't need you to be like, huh, what, or asking questions. I need you to hear me in this moment and stop the thing that you're doing before you get yourself injured or possibly get someone else injured. Now, is that a more extreme example? Yes, because obviously there's trying to think like where you're standing at with the jet, or like when the jet's being tested, or like when the engine's being tested, would be something that you need to be aware of. Have your head on a swivel. Like, why are you standing right there? So yes, is that a more extreme example? Yes, but there's that is not a time for me to say, oh please, would you just come up? Would you just come? It's like I need to be very clear and direct, and like get to that piece in the brain that gets you that like not to put fear in your life, but something that gets you like, oh snap, my actions are about to cause something terrible to happen.
Yeah, there's a place for yelling. There really is, and this might have been it. I mean, we don't know all the details other than, he yelled, and very likely when by the time he yelled, who knows what led up to that? Yeah.
Maybe it have been habitual line steppers.
Yeah. Jenkins. Oh, not Patty Jenkins, but Jenkins is my generic annoying coworker last name. Just for the fifth time, Cruz probably saw Jenkins without a mask, and God damn it, Jenkins!
Folks, we also don't have any problem coming back to call folks out later. We did that to Nolan. We've done it 3 times. Mm-hmm. We've praised him, been upset with him, and then I don't know where I'm at with him right now. I gave him some credit for the HBO thing, but I actually don't know where I fall on him quite this moment.
Actually, I saw Tenet, and Nolan's almost in the doghouse with me a little bit, but after seeing Tenet.
Okay. Maybe that's what we need to do to kick off the year. Come back and talk. So we'll finish Birds of Prey next week, and then watch Tenet and talk about it.
Though I have a feeling I will rather want to talk about Wonder Woman, but yeah, we could talk about that.
Oh no, we can do a doubleheader.
That's true.
Or next week. Next week's gonna be Wonder Woman anyway. We need to do Wonder Woman next week anyway. I know.
Next week.
I know we're supposed to do Birds of Prey, but we gotta talk. We gotta talk Wonder Woman while it's fresh. So.
All right.
We can just do Birds of Prey afterwards, but I don't want to.
We can break the rules that you set up.
These arbitrary rules. The points don't matter, damn it. The points don't matter. How? Oh, dang it! That's where. That's where I've been thinking about Coming to America. That's why that voice is coming out.
I thought it was also because I presume you also watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
I haven't had a chance to yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Because
we want to talk about it.
Yes.
Or do you want to give your thoughts real quick?
I loved it. I will be devastated, even though Oscar is super white, if at the very least Chadwick and Viola don't get nods for this. Because
getting nods from the same movie can be difficult. Definitely getting wins from the same movie in performance can be. Or what I want to be clear is director, best picture, support, maybe actor or best supporting, that usually can happen, and then some other tech. If you think about Lord of the Rings, something like that, just demolished. But when it gets to just performance, so if it doesn't get best movie, but if it's just performance, it tends to be difficult. But if there was a year for it to happen, I'll see it, make my judgment. But if there was a year for it to happen, the math might be in their favor, because there really aren't. I need to put my end of year list together, but I just have.
Yeah, I think it's on my list this year, and yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog is in trouble now. So.
Oh man, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that came out this year. Remember?
We had such high hopes for you. But you don't think Bad Boys is gonna sneak in some?
Maybe Martin Lawrence might get Best Actor.
We were just talking about that. Who was I just talking about? But I brought you up because I was I remember rolling my eyes about it. But the more I think about, I was talking to my brother. I was talking to my brother about it. But the more I think about that, I was like, yeah, that movie actually wasn't that bad. I think I'm just prejudiced to hate Bad Boys because of Bad Boys 2, because of how much of an assault to the eyes that movie is, and how whoever Roger Ebert said, everyone who has ever been a part of this production should feel ashamed of themselves and needs to seriously question their humanity. And it's gotta be the most. God, he could write some scathing sentences. I miss you, Roger.
Yes.
Oh man. Coming to America 2 trailer dropped yesterday.
Yep.
And I wasn't looking forward to it until Eddie Murphy kind of had he's having his reconnaissance happening. We're getting Murphy sense. Is that going to be what I don't know. Dolomite was pretty good. I loved that when it came out. Loved seeing him back on SNL, interacting with them again, not being estranged from SNL anymore. Seeing it, but before any of that happened, knowing that there was going to be a Coming to America 2, I was just kind of watching the trailer. However, I'm a little excited. I am a little excited. Hopefully the jokes aren't horribly aged. All right. Hopefully he was able to really craft some good liners. So far, that one moment in the barbershop was pretty good. He made a joke about they're pulling out all sorts of random African names, and the one guy's in the chair that's not played by Arsenio or Eddie makes something about poverty or flies on kids, and they're whoa, you can go ahead and get it right up out of my chair, making jokes like that. And then he says, What can I do you for, Hotel Rwanda? I'm like, oh my
Oh.
So there might be a little bit of a cringe factor.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm going to be embarrassed that I'm laughing at these or not.
I don't know. It would be good to see does Eddie still have it? Can you get past your Pluto Nash Norbit days? Do you still got something in the tank? Yes, I'm sorry if I had to remind you those movies existed. Did you forget?
Thank
I
you.
didn't forget.
I did a little.
Baskin Robbins always knows. Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah. So check the trailer out. We had some our ongoing issues this week. Yes, I did forget, Kenny. Fortunately, I didn't see them. All right, Shelby. All right, Lindy Fitness. I see how it is. He did play a small role in Dreamgirls, which I also think kind of got a little overlooked. I don't remember if he got a nod for that, but I felt like he did a pretty good job there. I mean, that was like his last thing he'd had until now. But yeah, I'm excited. Got the whole gang back together. James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm most excited about, and trying to see how that's going to play out in that plot line.
Mm-hmm. Got to go find his long lost son. Which, did you do something else in that movie we don't know about? I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a mini retcon going on in there, but we shall see. I did not see. When's the date? When is that coming out? It's not that far.
No. And you know what? I, for one, will welcome our stupid comedy overlord in the new year, because I need that, I think.
March 5th. Come out March 5th. Oh, and I forgot Kenya Barris had a hand in the script. So maybe that'll help temper it and keep it relevant to today.
Mm-hmm.
That may actually be the linchpin that keeps it from getting stale or feeling like, oh, you need to update these jokes.
Yeah, I was hoping that Eddie didn't write it all, and had a team of people that he could rely on to freshen it up a bit.
Yeah.
Which then made me think about John Mulaney, who's now in rehab. So, thoughts to him.
Whoa!
Good thoughts to him. Yep, John Mulaney checked into rehab last week or early this week. I have no concept of time, but yeah, he is in rehab. He's been on the wagon for like 8 solid years at least, and something happened, and I hope it isn't too lasting or deep into his personal life.
Well, thoughts go out to him and his wife. Good Lord. Fuck this year.
Yep.
Jesus. Just can't win.
Nope. Not at all.
God, he's going to be able to get some help, though. That's
important.
Yeah, that's important. I do wish it was an opportunity afforded to more of our society, not just folks that have lots of money. But I'm not. That's not to drag Mulaney about that. Just something I wish. Was a bigger opportunity for the rest of the population.
Let us celebrate him for knowing that he needed the help and doing it.
Yeah, and getting in there before something worse happens. So, gosh.
Yep.
Dang it, Tom. I'm not
Sorry.
mad at you. Sorry. No, I was like, what? It took me a second. Like, what did you just say? What? John Mulaney.
Yep.
Dermot Mulroney. All right. Well, we're supposed to talk about Shazam next.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about HBO real quick, or what's happening with that?
Do you have an update?
And Dune.
Oh yes, sorry, thank you. Actually, there's a couple threads of that. I didn't really have one and have time to dive into them, research them out a little bit more. And So some big ones that are happening. Sony. There's been some. Not Kazam. Shazam. not the Shaquille O'Neal. I was about to say Sinbad, but the Shaquille not the Shaquille O'Neal movie. The Zachary Levi DC movie that came out March 2019. Was it?
Yeah. Yes. 2019.
Gosh, mate. All right. So there's been some talk and there's been some rumors that directors may be trying to flock to Sony and different studios. We already knew that there were some talks about getting out of some contracts with different studios based on what happened with the HBO, AT&T, Warner Brothers thing. That's also getting a mouthful. I'm just gonna say AT&T, HBO. I know Warner Brothers is in there, but I just can't. But there's been some talk about some studio jumping, and granted, this ain't the old days of Hollywood. People can jump studios, but this is talking about getting out of contracts based on what happened. So keep an eye on that. And Sony was listed as one of the landing places that has also got my eyebrows. It's like, which would not be the landing spot I would have first picked for people. Probably people would have tried to get on that Disney Gravy Chain money first, but or that CBS Viacom money. Put out some CBS All Access movies. I couldn't say that with a straight face. I'm sorry. They're not making movies on CBS All Access. TV shows, sure, but they're not. Jalen, that's not a dig at you. It's not a dig at you or your company. I just no. I can't. Oh gosh. All right. So Denny Villeneuve, I love him. I'm hoping Dune's gonna be amazing. He came out like arms swinging about the HBO Max deal, and there's been talks that they may pull their idea they had for Dune later. That was later in the year for next year, 2021, and make that a theatrical release only. Or maybe possibly still do a theatrical release, but then have it on HBO Max in like a month after that. And hell, honestly, if that had been here's another fix for HBO, something you could have considered, was just say we're going to do a 30-day theatrical window and then put it on HBO Max. How hard would that have been?
It's so frustrating because, like, just there are millions of people that want to watch these movies that have been waiting for these movies. And all of this is just so that they can maximize the absolute complete amount of profit that they can out of these, which is understandable, but at the same time disappointing. Mm-hmm. And is also showing that Hollywood doesn't give a shit about the art of filmmaking. They give a shit about making money, which I don't know. I feel like it's just studio. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's the director thirstiness at this point, but it's super frustrating to see these fights pan out the way that they are.
And to be fair to movie history, like Hollywood, I was about to say just say Disney, but that's not fair. Hollywood's always been about the bottom line. So this at least that from that aspect is nothing new. And we talked last week about that potential that Warner Brothers thought, oh, maybe Disney's going to come out and say the same thing, and they got got the rug pulled out from under them. The thing we don't know or you haven't seen like a lot of traffic on is how many other studios were close to doing some similar things. Maybe not to the degree, because again, there's some also legalese things that are just so dumb in this. Like we have to keep repeating, like, they are breaking contracts to do this. So without negotiating this and going for, like, so that's the other thing that, like, when you see people that are just still on this, it's like, because they didn't have standing to do this. I really haven't heard inklings of like, oh, other studios are definitely going to go do this. But the thing is, now we may never know because HBO did this, and other studios are like, oh, shit, we don't want to take that hit. No, we'll put our stuff in theaters, and then we'll put on streaming later. You know, it kind of creates this nice, kind of turns them into such a big scapegoat that everybody can just kind of, yeah, we'll hold off for a little bit, you know, and then by the time everything gets better, HBO looks like a major villain, and then everyone else kind of comes out scot clean. So again, I don't have information that people are going to for sure do it. I also don't know if we'll ever know during this time period what they were thinking, because they've got the perfect out now. I mean, if I were an exec, I'd go burn my emails. And be like, hey, you know that thing we're talking about? Shh, shh. Oh, you mean the thing we were going to put everything? It was like, shh, 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 shut up. Shh. Oh, man. Shazam?
Yes.
We've gotten so off the rails. You can't get me started on, like, corporate nonsense.
Yes.
All
right, so let's cut the news. Let's get to Shazam, because this has been a conversation making in a long time, I think. So yeah, I think one thing, we first saw it together in person in a theater, which is just
yeah, remember those kids?
Completely. Yep.
And you have this real celluloid, and light shoots through it, and it's crisp and on a silver screen.
Mm-hmm. With bacon popcorn, I think we had at that time, because that was at
you might have had
at the AMC.
I don't be putting. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to popcorn. Salt and butter be the way for me.
Well, that's what bacon is. Just
bacon. You made it sound like there's like pieces of like candied bacon on the. Oh God, that would be
not candied, but yeah.
Sorry, I'm salivating on that now. Continue. Yes, we saw it together.
Yes, so we saw it in the theater with a bunch of friends, which was just. And then after we saw that show, we went out with a bunch of friends for the entire weekend. Oh, this is sad, but I think I want to start off with one thing that I think all of us violently agree on. Stole that movie.
Sorry, say that again.
Darla stole the movie. I love Darla.
Okay. You know what? No, I don't disagree. I think the thing I was thinking about was. I think the thing I was thinking about is just I wish I would have seen them as the adult kid, like have that a little bit sooner. But I don't know if you could have done that, because the reveal is so good of when it happens that I'm like, oh shit, we're getting a team
Yeah, we're getting the Shazam family.
What? So it's like, and the one he's like, yeah, I don't know if you could. I don't think you could have done it any sooner. I don't think there's any way to rewrite that to make it any sooner. But I just think I would like to see some more from the other kids earlier on. So yeah, Darla's great, but they spend more time on Billy and what's his.
The other kid.
Yeah, the other kid that's in his room. So they spend a lot of time with those two, but we don't necessarily get. I would have liked a little bit more from the other kids soon. So maybe that would be the fix. Is just like get them involved a little bit sooner in those conversations, so we can know. Like, because there's some of the other kids aside from Darla, I couldn't tell you the name of the other kids.
Other than Mary, because Mary is the most famous of the Marvels besides Captain Marvel.
So it's like, so it's just like that would be my only. Actually, that might be my only. Is that my only big negative? Huh? I might be able to just. Hey, actually, let me try this real quick. I might be able to just pump up my I might have two negatives, and that might be it. The rest might be praise. Let's hold on for. Let's see if we can do this real quick. Hold on. You might have a longer list or something, but hold on. Bring the kids up sooner, and Mark Strong is just and it's not necessarily Mark Strong's fault. It's just
how they there's just I didn't feel like I felt like the villain didn't have a strong motivation to be villainous.
He's just doing the things.
Yeah, I'm just, I was made fun of as a child, so now I'm evil.
Wow.
It's...
That might be it. I'm trying to think.
I do have one additional one.
Go ahead.
I don't disagree with you on the other two.
And as a reminder for folks that have just joined in, again, we're doing our review of Shazam, the DC movie from March 2019, as part of our DCEU rewatch. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes. So, I had some issues with Zach Levy playing Shazam. One, I'm just so done with. So this is partly a body positivity issue of getting a skinny actor to work out a little bit and then wear a suit with fake muscles on it.
You mean like they did in the olden days? He didn't pull let's be clear. He didn't pull a Chris Pratt or Chris Hemsworth, like one of them, like, oh good Lord, I can see the V and all those other, like, he didn't do all that now.
No, and that's the thing. Like, they could have gotten, like, it's the same issue that I have with most people who play Superman is, like, Superman's this jacked up person as opposed to being bemuscled. And there is a difference. There is an aesthetic difference in that, there's someone who is visibly powerful versus aesthetically muscular. If that makes sense. And it would be, I would have liked to have had a slightly different actor play Shazam. He did a fine job. And, if there's anybody that can channel an inner 13-year-old, Zach Levy is one of those people.
Someone's like, would you want Henry Cavill to look more like Geralt? Because have you watched The Witcher?
No, I have not yet.
He's not his Superman cut in that. It is more like, yes, he has muscles, and he looks good with, like, yeah, he got shirt off, showed butt cheeks, like, yeah, he still looks good. But it ain't like his Superman regimen or whatever that is, whatever he does to get to that degree. So I wonder if maybe you're thinking more like lumberjack, kind of like natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little barrel chested, as opposed to pecs all day. But again, it's tough finding somebody who can play that dynamic while also having that body type. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it isn't, and just we're lazy. And people said, oh, you know what? Who'd be great? The guy who played Chuck. Let's put him in here. But that's the only thing is, like, even when they show Zach Levy in it, you can see he's got this, like, tiny neck and head popping out of this giant suit.
It doesn't, yeah.
And
it's a little over, yeah. Not a little. It's a bit much.
Yeah.
That said, his performance as, like, Billy Batson being as just, like, I did like that. So I was like, okay, this feels like a kid. This feels like a kid. Like, we're getting our Tom Hanks big thing. Like, this is what this feels like. Cool, got it. I believe it. But yeah, to your point, like muscular aesthetic. Like, totally agree. It is. Yep. It's awkward. It's sometimes it works really good for laughs, or sometimes it's like, yeah. But yeah, I'm totally with you.
But other than that, I mean, it's a small issue. They still made it work, but yeah, that's the only other complaint that I have about it is that everybody else, the family I cared about, the family dynamic I cared about.
It's like, he is an orphan, or ish. I feel like they do a good job of dealing. Actually, I didn't mean to. Did I just trample over your family dynamic that you're about to talk about? I'm sorry, Tom.
No, go ahead. Go, no.
Okay. How refreshing was it that, like, again, so there is some orphanage that happens, because that's the whole reason he's there with the foster family. But I feel like they address it in a really good way. They build on they're like, you're these other foster kids, we're gonna get into, like, we're gonna build this family dynamic. he's got to wrestle with staying there and choosing to be planted with them, which is ultimately revealed when they get the whole Shazam family reveal. Like, it's the final, like, I'm here. I'm gonna, like, not only am I here with you, but I'm gonna make a
I'm investing in you. Yeah.
Yes. Man, that's great.
Yeah,
man, that's great, especially for an origin story, which could have just been Biden numbers, and in some ways it is Biden numbers. But I think they fought a lot of that with the family dynamic.
Yeah. It was. I'm going to sound super cynical, but this was one of the times that I felt like I actually gave a crap about what was going on in their lives.
What time?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, if you think about it, the only other one that did well with that, I think, was the first Avenger. In cultivating the love story, but even that, I felt that love story was a little bit forced. She kind of liked the scrawny guy, and then he got hot, and then she was hot for him. Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're in this timeless love when really they talked a lot, but most of the time it was killing Nazis as opposed to like developing a relationship.
Well, I'm sure they wrote letters to each other, stolen glances and things on the CB radio.
My dearest agent.
My dearest agent. Wow.
As I punched this Nazi in the face and his blood splattered against the wall, I was reminded of your red lips. Oh, how I miss you. Sorry.
Wow.
I'm going to stop there. Let's get back to Shazam.
Now, I'm going to clip that. I'm going to clip that and make sure it makes the rounds. I'm recording. I've been recording the whole time, baby.
So, I think that, the family was great. I also liked how it's a little bit different than from the comics, but I like how they cultivated their personalities and their situations into their powers. So, the guy who can't walk is now the fastest runner out of all of them, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, really good. So good. Let's see, we talked to villain. You know what? I will say one thing. This is where, so things that get kind of run by the numbers, figuring out the powers. It's like, okay, we've seen that a million times. It's not necessarily its fault, but it's just we've seen that a bunch of times. It's a little more inventive because they're like got cell phone, kind of reminded a little bit more like of Kick-Ass. Obviously, he doesn't have powers, but kind of like that exploratory, that kind of exploratory phase, kind of like a Spider-Man 1 kind of thing. So they did that well. It's just kind of like, but this is a very well worn road now. I'm trying to think. And then score wise, I couldn't tell you. I could like probably soundtrack songs. Yeah, but as far as score, I couldn't tell you. Like, I couldn't think of. Let me hum that. It's like, and it ain't gonna happen. I think that's. I'm trying to think what else. Visually, it's.
Actually, I do want to say one other thing. I also want to give credit to the adult actors that played them after the release, because they did a really good job, especially whoever played Darla, capturing. Yeah. It was just
because you get no screen time. You have to come in and.
Yeah.
and be
like honestly, yeah. She both Darlas owned the screen whenever they came on, and I think that was a bit refreshing to see that when like this is turning out to be a boring review because we both like it. There's absolutely nothing offensive about it. Our only criticisms is they should have shown the Marvel family sooner, and the villain could have been a little bit more well defined. And Zach Levy looks ridiculous in the suit.
He does look ridiculous in the suit. So there was one thing on the cinematography, like it's probably the brightest. We'll see what happens with Wonder Woman 1984 here, but I do see this like hard pivot from the colors that have been happening in the DCEU, aside from like Aquaman up to that point, because this was after Aquaman, and then again we'll see what happens with 1984, but because just some of the things that are happening there with their world trek and things they're doing might be brighter. But I think I'm not saying it's a rebuke of the Snyder aesthetic, but it's definitely like we ain't got any time. We ain't got any time for that. That ain't what this is about. And the darkest spot is when they're going to Shazam's chambers or Shazam's cave for the switches, or like when he's trying to take the power.
But he is bright even in that when he is Shazam, and that's actually I think it's worth calling out, because one of the things that they did a good job of doing was, like Aquaman was like these trippy neon, Submariner lights or other things like that. But this is just bright, straight primary colors, which is something you have.
Especially when we see the family.
Yeah, like I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that like turned up colors like that. That were such yeah.
Which is surprising because the Power Rangers movie goes muted.
Which I'm all for that. Like this is a really good departure from what we've gotten, even from Marvel, as well.
You think Age of Ultron's gets back to this muted palette. The first Avengers. The first Avengers is definitely a little more color bombastic.
Yes.
Because like Cap's suit is like pops off the screen. Hulk pops off. Very bright red.
Iron Man pops off. Yeah.
And then they go to Age of Ultron, and they just kind of
they're like, let's silver everything.
Mute everything. Lindy Fitness brings up a good point. For Ragnarok, that's probably like the next best example. Even if the characters themselves don't necessarily like pop color wise, the environment they're in definitely pops a lot.
So truth be told, I got really baked last night and watched Thor Ragnarok. And that was nice. And I followed it up with the original Kingsman. Wait, we don't roll our eyes at original Kingsman.
Sorry. Yes, sorry. You're right.
Except for the last 5 minutes. But
the Pepper's looking at me. What? Someone in the house. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's if I didn't already see it, Shazam might have been a good get baked and watch.
Yeah. And the interesting thing we just said Levi's costume design was not great, but I didn't feel that way about the rest of the family. Like,
no,
it is like it still looks ridiculous, but not in a like it's over the top, but it doesn't look uncomfortable. Whereas Levi's suit looks uncomfortable, or like this is overdone. You like damn near look like Patrick Warburton in The Tick, but at least Patrick Warburton is that size. It's still he still pulls off the suit they make for The Tick, whereas Levi's is just But the rest of the family is like, if y'all had shown the same restraint you had with the family for Levi's, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be saying anything about it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I kind of want to see addressed. In this supposed comic that I have in my brain that I've tried to write, that we need to like break away from the idea of muscular equals super strong. because like, you know, when we talk about Superman, he's not super strong because he shows up at Bally Total Fitness on a daily basis and lifts a bunch of weights, you know, a la One Punch Man, who does 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every day. But like, Superman's strength comes from his absorption of solar power from a yellow sun. So that guy could be scrawny, that guy could be fat, and he would still be Superman.
Now, Justice League Gods and Monsters showed us an example of that.
Yep. Was that the one where Flash time travels?
Oh, sorry. No, you're right. You're saying the right one.
I think is it Crisis?
No, it's not
Infinite
Crisis.
Earth?
Flashpoint Paradox.
Yes.
No, sorry. That's where that one happens. I got confused with
Evil Superman.
He was actually, but I think the reason I thought about that too is like, so Paradox one is super skinny because he's been held off in the jail cell. But as soon as he is able to get some sun, but they don't change his body type. It's like once he's able to get out, you know. But even
he's still Soups.
But even the Soups in Gods and Monsters is not like a buff. He almost looks like just a regular ass dude a little bit in a long trench coat.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely not the Clark we're thinking of from Justice League. Like he's definitely not that size. So I'd have to go back and look to be fair. But like my memory of it is not that large. But that might be the only examples we really have. And then we gotta avoid going on the other end of the spectrum where it's like, Marvel, I would love to give you props for what you did with Fat Four, but one, we're calling him Fat Four, and two, you just. All right, I'm gonna yell for a second. Brace yourselves.
Okay, Tom Cruise.
Why, when you're getting ready to snap everyone back into the existence, did you need to have a Cheese Whiz joke? Why? Why? Ooh, like, I hate the jokiness of the MCU movies. It's the one thing that makes it hard for me to go back and just, let me marathon. It's like, no, because I'll get upset a couple movies in, and particularly when we get to the later half. Like, so I just I still love MCU, like watching it, but God, those moments just could pull me out of it, and that one really does, because I felt like Endgame did a really good job of making us feel some stakes, particularly because we already kind of felt. At Tom, you got a little fuzzy there. You might need to throw the hand up. But it's like, did we know do we know people were coming back? It's like, okay, get it. So like trying to build emotional tension in this movie is already going to be difficult enough. And I felt like in the beginning of the movie, they did a really good job. Really, really good job of that. And then you get to that moment, you've already and Linear Fitness brings up a good point. The salad joke of his mom ruined a really good moment as well. Yes, it's a litany throughout the movie, and maybe you give him a pass during the time where he walks in there first, a little bit of shock. It's like if not that you really need to make the jokes, but if you're going to do it, fine. I think this is still going to be a longer conversation because I still think you could get away with not doing it.
Yes, I want to continue on that.
Yeah.
Finish your thought.
But why would you cut the emotional tension with a joke right there?
Yes, especially can't.
And you had the black character do it, but he ain't had a ton of lines already. Shit.
There's that, but also I hate the fact that I'm sounding like an activist. Especially as a bigger dude, but did we really need to like continue to fat shame Thor throughout this entire thing? And I was very disappointed that's a low-hanging fruit that they picked on. You know, and there was absolutely no reason for a joke. I absolutely hate those moments where things are tense or things are building, like, you know, a ship is taking off for the first time, and then all of a sudden it falters or falls, and there's a wacky noise that plays during that. I hate when they take away those moments because it's weak humor, It is absolutely the weakest of humors. And I just, yeah. And the fact that they did that one really pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
There was less of that, I feel, in Shazam. Trying to bring it back there.
Or it made sense because they're kids.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was that's where I was going. Was like, they're kids, and they're going to be like the most nervous wisecracking of people, and yet they didn't do it too much. And the jokes were about them. Like a lot of the jokes that kind of took away some of the seriousness was them being in character, like Darla saving Santa and then still believing in Santa and being like, oh, by the way, I really want this for Christmas. And then going off to fight with people again. And yeah, I appreciate that about
and then I would say like Freddy, Shazam. I think the thing that helped out a lot, so I want to get his name right, but Freddy, because he's set up as the comic relief, so it gets put more on him.
Yep.
And then even if he's like, was it Adam Brody plays? Yep, Adam Brody plays his adults. But even when he gets into the like superhero Freddy, it's like, okay, it makes sense that his character is the one that's making these jokes. We've established a place why this would be coming up, because that's how he breaks tension. That's how he relates and interacts with the world. Got it. Mm-hmm. Cool. Check.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be freaking Iron Man. Stop it.
Yes. Like, and that's actually, thinking back to Marvel, one of the best humor-breaking moments is Age of Ultron, in my opinion, because it relies on the characters being the characters in the film. Like Rhodey, he's not that wisecracky. He really isn't. He's a military man, and he was a career military man before he put on the suit. Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, not to say that military people don't say jokes, but like,
you get the right sergeant, and it's
but like, when somebody swears and Cap's like, language, and then they just run with that whole thing.
Because it's not Cap making a joke. It's Cap doing something that makes sense, and now it tees up Tony, because he's like, wait, is no one gonna go back to the point back to the fact that Cap just said language?
Exactly. So, it's that is one thing that I hope we see more of in better writing with Marvel, and I want to see more of that with DC. Because I really do think Shazam, and followed up by Birds of Prey, we see better platforms for the comic relief than we do in Birds of Prey, most of the others.
It's mainly with Harley. I can't really think of the other members really cracking jokes. I also have to see Wonder Woman 1984 here very soon. But I'm even thinking about the previous Wonder Woman. There might have been a scene or two that was funny, like when Deanna's like trying to like walk out with sword and shield and stuff like that. Yep. So but that's a bit. So they're not like the language of the movie is not wrapped around this this need to cut tension and have this comedic element. We're gonna put it in bits where it makes sense. We already saw in the trailer for 1984 where Chris Pine's character is trying to like figure out. It's kind of like a reverse of the wardrobe from the previous movie, and he's trying on these different 80s styles. I'm like, okay, so another.
Oh, the fanny pack.
Yeah, fanny pack. Parachute. It's like, so is that parachuting now? Is that? So, but it's a bit, and they're gonna move on. Again, I have to see it, but it's like most likely based on the formula from the last movie, it's like there'll be a bit and then they'll move on. They're not going to stay there forever. It's not going to. Go ahead.
I want to. I think we talked about this a little bit, but I want to bring it back up. Is the I don't want to say seriousness, but the genuineness, and it's in some ways seriousness to a lesser part, of Wonder Woman in that movie is so refreshing. Like, she's not waiting to make a wisecrack ever. Somebody says something that's funny, she's like, oh. Instead of making fun of them, she's like, if for example, the guy, the bagpiper who lost it, and he's like, I'm useless to you guys. If he said that in the Marvel universe, you definitely would have had Iron Man or somebody else make some wisecrack to yes, you are.
Yeah, you are pretty terrible.
Yeah,
she says, but Charlie, who would sing for us?
Yes. That's not necessarily saying, hey, Charlie, you're a badass. She's not lying to him saying, like, but she's like, I still value you. And whereas in, like, Tony would have been like, yeah, you're like gravy on ice cream or something like that. Or, I don't know. I was just trying to think of something useless. And
that is pretty useless. Hey, that's
so.
Ugh, gravy.
I'm hoping to see more of that in '84. I will be happy to see her genuineness again. So, and I liked the genuineness in Shazam.
Mm-hmm. It's like, don't be afraid to let your characters feel things, and so that the audience can feel things. It's okay. I promise it'll be okay. And if it's not, we'll be challenged as an audience, and we have to process and figure these things out.
Mm-hmm. Which is now making me think about Ma Rainey again, and how good that was because it let people feel things.
Yeah. Oh man. So.
Yes.
What you thinking for score?
So out of 10, I can't remember what I scored original Wonder Woman, but it would be like a half point to a point less than Wonder Woman. It doesn't beat it out. I think that there's an opportunity if they continue in this direction, there's an opportunity that the next Shazam movie might be
cool,
even better.
I think you and me are around 9 or 9.5 for Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or where I want to put Shazam is at an 8. That's where I feel.
I would agree.
Good. That's where I feel really good about it. Just because, yeah. I mean, even when I rewatched it, I was like, I don't want to have a bunch of bad. I don't have anything really to put down, and I'm like, so I had more like moments that stood out to me. Particularly like the conversation with him and his mom, having that realization and processing through that, which I felt like was really good. Not to pick on Peter Quill and his mom in Guardians 1, but there's never really a good resolution with that. It's like, yeah, I know what happens with him and his dad in Volume 2, but like, if I'm going to compare those two, I'd much rather have that cathartic moment with Billy and his mom as opposed to like Peter's mom. Ooh, just generic mother relationship, fractured. It's like, so that alone makes me like real. And obviously we already talked about family dynamic and stuff like, but like that alone makes you think about this much more highly. Although don't get me started. Don't get me thinking about Yondu, because then I will terrible like that. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. It just gets me.
Yeah, I think if thinking back, if I'm putting a very strong critical eye on the movie, I would have liked to have seen them invest a little bit more in the family dynamic. They did play through the family dynamic, but I don't think we saw as much of the work for Billy in that. It was kind of like, oh, these people I'm trying to get away from, but they're really sweet and nice to me and supportive of me. And then my mom is a piece of shit, so I'm going to go back to them instead of like him, really taking a hot minute to realize my mom bailed on me. This whole, it just, yeah.
And I think I think the one thing with him and Freddy's relationship, it is important to like make sure he gets really close with someone there. But I think if he can have a moment with each family member that's going to make up the Marvel family for him before you get to that point, that might have been the one. Like, so getting one moment with Mary.
So I mean, he has a moment with Mary. He has a moment with Darla, but that's it.
So who else do we need? We needed Eugene and Pedro. So Eugene and Pedro will probably be the last two of like, can we make sure we just establish some really a moment apiece with each of these family members? And I think that, we might be talking about this being at a 9, or like if they could also fix some of the like come up from some other creative ways to do the testing of the powers. Although, but again, I want to say like I feel like it was good. It's just more of a, it's just like we've seen so many of these.
Yes.
So
that they're notes.
It's hard for me to hit them hard about it, but it's also kind of like, but I don't know. I would feel weird about beating them up for that. I don't have the inkling. I don't want to do that. I just don't have the desire to do it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's this movie doesn't deserve to be beat up about this. It's just, okay, congratulations, you got a B. If you wanted an A, this is what we would have liked to have seen.
That's not bad.
Extra credit for
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, we're happy with the work that you did. It's above average. But if you wanted the A, then this is what we would need to see from you.
Yeah. All right, so I think that gets us through the news. We talked Shazam. We covered The Mandalorian. Goodness, we got some good rants in there. We got some good rants in there too. So yeah, I do want to
let's talk about the next week.
Disney Fitness. Rocket is an arsehole. So fine from him in small amounts. Yeah, if you do have a character that's established as not having any couth, you can have. And again, he was there in that scene with Thor, so that's a good. Again, he could reasonably do it, and it makes sense to get those out. And then, but again, I think we want to have a longer conversation on like, do we even need that? So maybe we don't have to finish that today, but I think I would like to come back to that. I think it's definitely an important conversation. Sorry, you said what's coming up next week? Because me and Tom are definitely watching Wonder Woman 1987.
Yep.
Post haste. Me and my roommate are gonna have like Christmas morning breakfast together and then throw it up on the screen. I can't promise I won't watch it as soon as it drops on HBO Max, but hey, I'll just get to watch it twice.
I have a feeling I'm going to see it at least 2, if not 3 times this week. So, so Wonder Woman, go see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on Netflix. People who are dancers, who are probably a high Venn diagram overlap, this is now, at least in my opinion, which is not so humble, required viewing for anybody who wants to get anywhere with it and get a strong understanding of African American music.
What? African American music? What? Shut your mouth.
So. And watch the documentary that follows up with it.
Yeah, hearing lots of great things. We'll also get ready to do our end of year list. Now, to be clear, this is not like Oscar Golden Globe prep. I guess we could start getting ready for that a little bit. We could talk a little bit. Oh gosh, I almost forgot Golden Globes. Was it Minuri? Which they put in the foreign movie category.
Yes.
But it's an American movie. Yes, it's dominated by Korean actors, but it's an American produced, finance made movie. Gosh, Golden Globes is dumb. I was telling my roommate, it's like, this is as bad as like it's as bad as The Martian being put as like the best comedy of the year, but now their racist streak is shown.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, cool. We'll talk about that more. We'll talk about that more next week. But we'll start. Me and Tom will be working on our end of year list, so we may do that next week. But we'll figure out what that's. We'll let you know when that happens. Maybe we'll kick off the year with Birds of Prey and our end of years list. But yeah, we'll get on that. And then things coming up, as always, we're every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central, here on the Nerd Union family of streaming platforms on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Stay in Nerd Union if you want more nerd news, not just TV and movies, but also get to your gaming and stuff like that. We do that on Monday nights. And we're going to have some cool announcements coming up in January. So we've been talking with the crew. We got some other. We're getting more content on the site. So content as far as articles and then just things that you can participate in on the website. It's gonna be really good. So,
which reminds me, I need to actually get my content up as well.
Yes, Tom's been working on a project. It's gonna be.
Yep, it's this whole not being able to see people in person thing that kind of
hinders the. Because at least how you've envisioned it, that does hinder it.
Yep.
Yeah. What's up, Peppers? I know, I'm almost done. Yeah. But if we don't see you, and however you celebrate the holidays or don't celebrate the holidays, everyone have a happy holidays. I don't do much of that Christmas stuff myself. Tom, enjoy your eggnog.
Listen, well, maybe next week we can plan something before New Year's for you.
Yes, like recipe.
Well, listen, do you have something like a family recipe that you would give to me? That is a serious recipe.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if we think about it that way though. It'd be good. I just don't know if we think about it that way. I can give you recipes and stuff. I just know I'm trying to think because we just don't. The chicken. How is your fried chicken?
I've never fried chicken.
Good Lord, how have you lived?
I live a block away from Church's Chicken. What do I need?
Get out! Oh, maybe drop another F-bomb on them. Gosh. No. I mean, I'm not hating on Church's. Church's is bad. I just stop it. You got Harold's. Come on.
I have Harold's.
Harold's ain't that far. Yeah, I was like, Harold's ain't that far. Get that red sauce.
That medium sauce.
That medium sauce. There's a good chicken episode from Good Eats. No, not Good Eats. All Deaf Media, where they talk about their favorite or what they think is the best snack cake and what they think is the best so and so. And Tony Baker, the comedian on there, I love his. He's like, you know why I love going to Harold's? It's like because of the customer service. And I'm like, what? He's like, because it's terrible. You got like a bulletproof glass and like a little window, and the person's already been upset because you bought the 20th order past the time they're supposed to close, and they put the headboard in and be like, what you want? What you want? And I'm like, gosh, that's been my experience of so many black-owned chicken restaurants. Like that, even though I hadn't been to Harold's yet when I watched it, I was like, okay, got it.
Now I'm actually kind of curious because like my Harold's is surrounded by whiteness.
Oh, it is. I've seen that one.
And like I'm just wondering how different that like the frustrations are different. I think for the people that work at that Harold's versus the ones that work at other locations. Is it too spicy? Is it very spicy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just order, damn it. Gosh. So is it just white exhaustion versus black exhaustion? Oh,
yes. But yeah, the only reason that I've been reticent to hand it out is like literally my uncle gave me the recipe but not his children. So it's stewardship is what it boils down to.
All right.
And I am legit, because I don't think I've ever laid eyes on the Illinois state capitol. I legit might be willing to drive all the way down to Springfield and meet up with you.
We'll figure it out.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll reverse engineer. Okay. Lindy Fitness, thank you for joining us for a bit tonight. Always appreciate your company. And I almost forgot Halo Marathon for folks that like playing Vigima games. I'm looking for, still love to have more people join me on that and play and going for the entire Halo campaign. So we'll be posting it, like that event is out on the page. You can check it out. It's Finish the Fight 2020. And we'll be playing for every Halo game except for the Halo Wars games. And that's how I'm gonna spend my holidays. It's like stuffing myself.
Hey, so
what's up?
When are we gonna do a comfort games episode?
A what? A comfort?
Yes, I talked about this in the thread. Jerry's all about it. Is basically you give like your top 5 comfort games that you play. That, you know, like for me, there's like 3 games that I will always go back and play, and like I've done serious IT gymnastics to get some of them to run on my computer because it's now too fast.
Too fast? I ain't never heard of a thing. I ain't never heard. Ain't no thing. Well, I don't run that show. That's up to Jerry.
Okay.
I produce. It's not my bacon. Not my baby.
Your bacon.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Just get that. Probably just needs to get refreshed in memory. Might have fallen through the cracks of everything going on. Cool. We've been belaboring for a bit. Thank you all for joining us. We definitely want to see you next week. So we'll be if you have HBO Max, go watch Wonder Woman 1984. I don't recommend going to see it in the theater with everything going on COVID-wise. But if your theater will let you rent out the theater, that may be the only
for you Florida
safe
people.
Way. Screw the Florida people. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. You know what you did. I seen it. You should just deplorable, packed in there like sardines in the bars. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. So no, you do not get to go to their theaters are probably open as can be. But yeah, that would be my only, and that's not me advocating for you to do that. It's like, but if you're not going to listen to me and watch it at home, see if you can rent out the theater and space out that way. But all right, until next week, we will see you all. Toodles.